After 15 years of marriage, my wife dressed up for a night out, preparing for a date with her lover. She leaned in close and whispered, "Jake, I need to feel young and wild again tonight." What she didn't realize was that I had already packed her bags and changed the locks on the doors. Her lover's wife, meanwhile, was sitting at a restaurant waiting for both of them with divorce papers in hand. When my wife told me she wanted to feel wild again, I knew those words weren't meant for me. But what she didn't know was that I was about to turn her dream night into her worst nightmare. These chilling words come from Jake, a dedicated contractor and loving husband living in suburban Ohio. For 15 years, Jake and his wife Emily had built what seemed like the perfect life together. They had raised 2 kids, shared laughs over family dinners, and weathered the ups and downs of marriage. But recently, something had changed. What was once warm and predictable had become distant, almost secretive. Late nights at work, muffled phone calls, and the glow of her phone screen at odd hours began to replace the quiet intimacy they once shared. Jake noticed the changes immediately. He had always been attentive, and this shift didn't go unnoticed. When he asked her about it, Emily's responses were vague and filled with deflections. As the cracks in their relationship grew wider, Jake's mind raced with possibilities. Was she unhappy? Was he losing her? But instead of confronting her, Jake chose to suppress his growing concerns. He told himself it was just a rough patch, a phase they would work through like they always had. What he didn't know, though, was that Emily's desire to feel young and wild again was about to push them both into a devastating collision of betrayal, heartbreak, and a twist that would change their lives forever. As Jake continued to notice subtle changes in Emily's behavior, his suspicions only deepened. She was spending more time on her phone, often smiling at messages she never shared. She began dressing up more often without any clear explanation. These small shifts weighed heavily on Jake's mind, but the tipping point came one evening when he overheard part of a phone conversation. The words weren't clear, but the tone was unmistakably intimate. Later, Jake caught a glimpse of a flirtatious message on Emily's phone, a sight that shook his trust in their marriage and confirmed his worst fears. Unable to confront her head-on, Jake's anxiety spiraled, leading him to quietly observe her actions. He kept mental notes of her new habits, errands that seemed to take longer than usual, unexplained absences, and hours of unaccounted time. Each observation heightened his sense of unease, pushing him further into a world of doubt and fear. The more he watched, the clearer it became that something was terribly wrong. Left with no choice but to act, Jake knew he had to uncover the truth, no matter what it cost. His suspicions grew stronger, and the stage was set for an inevitable confrontation. Sitting alone in their living room, Jake reflected on the 15 years of marriage they had shared and the family they had built together. The heartbreak was overwhelming, but amid the pain, he resolved to stay calm and act strategically. A rash confrontation could only lead to chaos, so Jake decided to approach the situation with care and caution. In this moment of clarity, Jake stumbled upon an unexpected detail that would change everything. Emily's lover was also married. This revelation sparked an idea in him. Instead of confronting Emily on his own, he decided to reach out to the man's wife. He believed that by joining forces, they could uncover the full truth and hold both their spouses accountable for the betrayal. With a plan beginning to take shape, Jake set his focus on executing it with precision. Determined to address the affair calmly but decisively, his heartbreak shifted into a quiet resolve as he prepared for the confrontation that would change everything. Now that the truth about Emily's affair was undeniable, Jake began to put his plan into action. He waited for the perfect moment, which arrived when Emily was upstairs, preoccupied with getting ready for a planned date. Oblivious to what was about to unfold, she spent hours preparing while Jake moved forward with his own preparations. He started by packing Emily's belongings into suitcases, each item a symbolic farewell to the life they once shared. He placed them neatly by the front door, a gesture marking the end of their marriage. Next, he changed the locks on all the doors, ensuring that when Emily returns, it would no longer feel like home. Each turn of the key echoed in the silence, a sound representing Jake's determination to protect himself and their children from further harm. With the house prepared for her absence, Jake took the next bold step in his plan. He contacted the wife of Emily's lover. Speaking with her was both surreal and liberating, and they discovered they shared a common suspicion. Both had been dealing with their spouse's infidelity. Together, they agreed to meet at the restaurant where their partners were set to rendezvous, united in their mission to expose the truth. As the time ticked by, Jake felt an unexpected calm wash over him. The heartbreaking rage that once consumed him had been replaced by a steely determination. He knew the fallout would be messy, but he found solace in the sense of closure that comes from taking control of the situation. With every piece of his plan falling into place, Jake braced himself for the confrontation ahead, ready to face the truth and reclaim his dignity in the process. The fateful night arrived, and Emily was filled with anticipation. Unaware of the storm brewing around her, she spent hours preparing, carefully selecting her outfit, dressing in a way Jake hadn't seen in years. Her excitement was clear, though she tried to mask it with vague excuses about the event she claimed to be attending. Just as she was about to leave, she turned to Jake with a sly smile and whispered, "I need to feel young and wild again tonight." The words hit Jake like a devastating blow, but he remained composed, offering her nothing more than a silent, knowing look as the door quietly closed behind her. He stood motionless, watching through the window as she drove off, his mind flooded with memories of the life they had shared, the laughter, the struggles, and the love that once bound them together. In an instant, everything they built over 15 years unraveled. Despite the weight of sorrow threatening to overwhelm him, Jake steadied himself. He knew there was no turning back now. At the restaurant, the plan Jake set into motion began to unfold. Emily's lover arrived first, expecting a romantic evening, but was instead met by his furious wife who held divorce papers in her hand. Her voice rose as she demanded answers, quickly drawing the attention of onlookers. What was meant to be a private moment of romance became a tense, humiliating spectacle. Moments later, Emily arrived, excitement written all over her face. But that excitement faded as she saw the scene before her. She froze, her carefully crafted image of the evening shattering instantly as she witnessed her lover being confronted by his wife. The reality of her choices began to settle in. The glamorous night she had envisioned had turned into a public disaster, and now she was at the center of a storm. As Emily's night unraveled, Jake's plan continued with precision. Back at home, he waited in silence, knowing Emily would soon return to find her belongings packed by the door and the locks changed. Sure enough, her frantic calls began. Each message became more desperate than the last. Pleas, apologies, and attempts to manipulate him into letting her back in. But Jake remained unmoved, ignoring each attempt and focusing solely on moving forward and rebuilding the life she tore apart. Meanwhile, at the restaurant, chaos reigned. The lover's wife, armed with evidence and years of pent-up frustration, took control of the situation. She didn't just expose her husband's affair. She ensured both Emily and her lover were publicly humiliated. She confronted Emily directly, dismantling every excuse with cold, undeniable facts. Patrons watched in stunned silence, their whispers adding to the weight of the moment. For Jake, hearing about the fallout brought a sense of closure. Emily and her lover were forced to face the consequences, not just privately, but under the harsh scrutiny of public judgment. The cracks in Jake's life, once overwhelming, now appeared as opportunities to rebuild on stronger foundations. Though the pain of betrayal was still raw, this marked the beginning of a new chapter, one without lies, deception, or the person who shattered his trust. As the dust settled, Jake took a moment to reflect on the whirlwind of events that brought him here. Exposing Emily's betrayal was not just an act of retaliation. It was a way to reclaim his dignity and find closure. While the pain of losing 15 years of marriage lingered, Jake found comfort in knowing he took control of his life rather than allowing the betrayal to define him. Facing the truth, though incredibly difficult, became a turning point for him. Looking back, Jake realized that while betrayal fractured the foundation of his marriage, it also freed him, giving him the chance to rebuild his life on his own terms. With quiet determination, he resolved to focus on healing and finding the peace that had been missing for far too long. His final message resonates deeply. Sometimes the hardest truths lead to the strongest resolutions. Betrayal may break you, but it also sets you free. As the story concludes, Jake turns to the audience, inviting them to reflect on his journey. What would you have done in my situation? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more gripping stories like this. With this call to action, Jake's story transitioned from personal reflection to a shared experience, leaving the audience with a lingering question to ponder. Thank you for being a part of the story with me. If it moved you, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel. You're joining a community that values meaningful storytelling. Let's continue exploring these heartfelt journeys together. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss the next.